everyone's favorite subject, niche fragrances. Before we get started, a fragrance fact. Everyone smells slightly different. Wait, what? Our own smell is personal to us and completely unique. How we smell is predetermined and comes from the same genes which determine our body's tissue type. Yes, tissue type. I don't even know what that means. But I can imagine a lot of people that are super snobby going like, your tissue type. Pathetic. My tissue type is exquisite, which is why I smell so well. My power, my nasal power is just unmatched. Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope you're doing well. That was a weird intro. Today we're going to be going over 10 of the best niche fragrances for beginners. So if you're just getting into the niche world, these are some fragrances that you should probably check out at some point in the not too distant future. Let's jump into it and check these out. Now, first up, we got to go with just the most obvious thing in the universe and just get it done. You know, go ahead and just do it, wash our hands of it, and move on. It's Creed's AVENTUS. It's got pineapple, birch, blackcurrant, and ambergris, and it is the most cloned, most knocked off fragrance of all time, because you have fragrance houses, both niche, designer, and indie, that have tried to do basically their version of Creed AVENTUS. And then you have just actual clone houses like Armaf or Afnan or Al Haramain who have made clone versions of this fragrance. Basically, this thing is everywhere. Its DNA is everywhere. And if you're getting into niche fragrances, then you need to smell AVENTUS, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you when you smell other fragrances that are inspired by Creed's AVENTUS. You can immediately go, oh, there it is. There's that good old AVENTUS. Now, I love AVENTUS. I think it smells awesome. Sometimes, depending on the batch, it'll be fruitier and have more pineapples. Sometimes it'll be smokier and have more birch. Sometimes it'll be in the middle and be nicely balanced. But regardless of what type of AVENTUS batch you have, I think it smells awesome. And the versatility here is just unmatched. You can use this anywhere. And guys, I'm going to link these in the description below. A lot of them are going to be linked at twistedlily.com, which is a fantastic store for niche fragrances. They're adding new brands all the time, and if you do shop there, use the code GENTS10, save yourself 10% off. That's good for the entire website, anything up on there. So we did AVENTUS. Now let's do BACCARAT ROUGE 540 from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's got saffron and amberwood along with fir resins as some of the notes in the fragrance. This one, just like AVENTUS, you're gonna find versions of this by other brands all over the place. And once again, some of them are designer, some of them are niche, and it's also heavily cloned as well. And the funniest thing about this fragrance is because it's BACCARAT ROUGE 540 and it's, you know, got a red label, and if you get the Extrait de Parfum, a red bottle, for whatever reason, it seems like 75% or more of the fragrance houses that are inspired by BACCARAT ROUGE 540 with their fragrances, they put them out in red bottles also. It's almost like they just need to make sure that you know what's going on here. They want to give you like a little, how do you like our new fragrance that is completely our idea? Ha, ha, ha. We did not look at anything else, and we thought this red bottle matched it perfectly. BACCARAT ROUGE 540 though is a big time compliment pulling fragrance. Definitely has a synthetic smell to it, a synthetic feel, but I don't mean that negatively whatsoever. A lot of people compare it to the smell of candy floss, which I think is what Europeans call cotton candy. Shout out Europeans. Next up, let's do Neo, not from the Matrix, but from the Xerjoff. Bottle on this has changed, so it no longer has this beautiful design, which you see here before you. I think they changed it, at least this is what I was told, because these bottles sometimes had a tendency to crack. Like the corners here might get popped, and then it would just crash. This one has bergamot, green notes, wood, spices, and neroli as some of the notes in the fragrance. And this right here, to me, one of the best summertime fragrances you can buy. Now, I'm not saying the best because it's really hard to say, oh, that's number one. Kind of tricky, especially with that fragrance fact from earlier where everybody smells differently. They interpret smells differently. That's how I took that fragrance fact. I didn't take it to mean everybody smells differently, like they themselves actually smell differently. This one though, Oh man, the citrus, amazing, amazing. So realistic and sweet and juicy. And I'm a big fan of green fragrances in general. And this one being kind of a green citrusy white floral, just absolutely stunning. Need to smell that. That's a top-notch summer one. Let's get another obvious one out of the way. LAYTON from Parfums de Marly. Apple, vanilla, cardamom, lavender, and sandalwood, some of the notes in this fragrance. This one has almost catapulted up the tiers of niche fragrancedom to be right up there with Baccarat, Rouge 540, and AVENTUS for a lot of people. Now, other people will say, no, that is sacrilegious, but it's true. And that's because in fall, winter, and maybe early spring, we'll say, LAYTON is just one of the absolute tops for being a beast mode performing, compliment pulling, versatile, just destroyer. The vanilla in there smells fantastic with bits of spice strewn throughout and then a little bit of woodiness there in the base. It is a stunning scent from open to dry down. Gotta smell LAYTON. Obviously, it's been heavily hyped since it came out. There's also LAYTON Exclusive. If you wanted a little bit more of a darker, more niche take on that DNA, you can check that one out. But if you're getting into niche, you're gonna have to smell LAYTON and decide for yourself, do you think the hype is warranted or not? Talking about hype, Bleecker Street by Bond Number 9 is next up. Blueberry, suede, violet leaf, and cedar. Some of the notes in this one. Now, I am a Bleecker Street apologist. I love it. Within the fragrance realm, though, you'll find a lot of people that say this is not worth the price. Personally, I think it is. It smells kind of grassy in the opening. You've got this nice blueberry giving you an interesting fruity sweetness with a bit of tartness as well that you don't really pick up from many fragrances. It's not a common note. As it dries down, you get that suede and cedar that comes out, makes a nice base for the fragrance. For me, it's one of my quintessential springtime fragrances. Always has been, ever since I got it. And I actually do have a backup bottle of this fragrance as well, just in case anything should ever happen to it, like happened to New Harlem from Bond Number 9, one of their best fragrances. F's in the chat for New Harlem. It smelled like pancakes in a really good way. Now, what some people will say about this fragrance is that it smells too similar to Ralph Lauren's Purple Label. And to that, I would say, yes, it does. You are not lying. But that being said, I still love Bleecker Street. I think this stuff is awesome and it has better performance than Purple Label, so suck on that. Again, though, a hype beast, gotta check it out, decide for yourself. Is it worth it? For me, yes. Now, this next one is gonna seem like a departure from the fragrances that we've talked about because the 5 fragrances we've talked about so far, pretty easy to wrap your head around. I mean, they are fragrances that I think most people would say, yeah, for beginners, that makes sense. This one, some people would say, not so much. But I think it's one of those fragrances that, again, is so heralded that you need to check it out. And you know, if you smell this and you think that is awesome, then that goes ahead and opens up a whole bunch of doors for you that you can go ahead and walk right through. Check out a whole bunch more. But if you smell this and you recoil or you just think to yourself, no, hard pass, then that tells you right away, okay, stuff like this and maybe a little more complex fragrances, maybe we'll walk that back a little bit and visit it later. So the fragrance is from Frederic Malle and it is MUSC Ravageur. Now it's got vanilla, cinnamon, and clove, along with, of course, musk. That's some of the notes in the fragrance. And especially the more modern version, like if you buy this new of MUSC Ravageur, is not as potentially divisive as the older ones, we'll say. But still yet, it's a fragrance that it can be kind of like a gauge for where you're at and what you're looking for. I think the musk in here is fantastic, but what really does the fragrance for me is the cinnamon, the clove, the vanilla, that warm spiciness that this one has. Like when I spray it on and I smell it, it legitimately makes me feel like I'm being warmed all over. It's got that kind of effect. And that one is almost a fragrance that you could say is on a bunch of people's Mount Rushmore of niche fragrances. So you gotta check it out. All right, next up, going from Frederic Malle to Mancera. Yeah, a pretty big difference. This one is red tobacco. This one's got tobacco, vanilla, cinnamon, oud, and patchouli as some of the notes in the scent. Now, if you're a beginner to niche fragrances, when you first spray this on, you might be taken aback because the opening of this fragrance, there's a lot going on. It's pretty aggressive. It's in your face. It's spicy, like big time spicy, but It doesn't always smell in the opening like everything is reined in. It's kind of like a cowboy trying to drive cattle or something, and instead of having them all neatly in this little group, they're kind of just going everywhere. That's how the spice is in the opening here. Some people are gonna like that chaos. They're gonna thrive in it. Other people are gonna smell it and go, no, my brain is overwhelmed. As it dries down though, smooths out a lot, sweetens up, and smells really nice. Now I include red tobacco here because I feel like you should smell at least one Mancera if you're just getting started, because Mancera is one of the easiest niche houses to get into. They have nice sizes. This is 120 milliliters. You can easily find them at discounters. They don't cost all that much money, and a lot of them are pretty easy to pull off. And red tobacco is a fragrance that's been pretty successful for them, and it's also inspired some other niche houses to do fragrances that smell quite similar to it. So I think you should check it out, basically. Coming up on the end here, we've got one from Diptyque. It is PHILOSYKOS. How do you like that? PHILOSYKOS. Diptyque is a house that I think is just overlooked by too many people. I love the presentation. Pretty simple, but it looks very nice. I love the labels on these and the little drawings on the back. I like those too. They don't cost all that much money, even at full retail, and they are absolutely, for the vast majority of them anyway, worth it. Now this one's really well known for being one of the better fig fragrances on the market, and I've got to say, I agree, especially when you factor in, again, that price. Now it also has coconut in here and woods along with some green notes. Definitely unisex, ladies can pull this off as well, but I don't think it leans too far feminine for guys to pull off easily either. For me, this one is kind of a springtime scent. That's typically when I reach for it, though you could stretch it through summer and fall as well. And another fragrance that I think from this house is worth checking out is Tamdao, T-A-M-D-A-O. That one, really nice sandalwood. So if you're more into sandalwood than fig, check that one out. All right, next up, the Blue Beast Interlude. That's a beast right there, man. Dang, boy, dang. It's got incense, leather, and oud, along with spices and oregano. Also got a bit of amber in here as well, so a little more of that resinous kind of sweetness sitting underneath everything. This is known for being an incense bomb, you know, lasting forever, projecting heavily, and it does. The opening can be a little bit divisive. So this is another one of those fragrances where some people are gonna spray it on and get hit by that blast in the open, which is where that oregano is really gonna make itself known, and they're gonna go, nah, no, stay away. But once you get past that, it's actually not that hard to pull this fragrance off. I think it is a top-notch incense scent. And if you're getting into niche, you're gonna need to embrace that smoke. And Interlude also has a couple flankers now. Interlude 53, Interlude Black Iris, both of those fantastic. All right, last up, you know, we started with an easy one, we're gonna end with an easy one. ELYSIUM by Rouge Parfum. Now there are a ton of fragrances from Rouge Parfum that I could put into this list because a lot of them are pretty easy to pull off, especially if we're talking the Parfum Cologne collection. But for just straight up beginners in niche fragrance, this is a good choice. And of course, that's because it is a blue fragrance. This is a high-end blue fragrance. It's made to be appealing to as many people as possible, to be as versatile as possible, and that's what it is. There's citrus, there's vetiver, there's juniper, there's black currant, there's ambergris, there's a whole bunch of notes. That's how Rouge Parfum does it. It's fresh, it's gentlemanly, got a touch of sweetness in there, nice woodiness underneath it all, and it can be worn by basically anybody. I mean, age range wise, younger guys can pull it off, older guys can pull it off. Anybody can. One drawback with that one is the performance could be a little bit better, you know, project a little bit further, last a little bit longer. But for me, it's decent. But some people that go into a niche fragrance, you know, expecting beast mode performance all the time because they paid obviously premium over designer fragrances, they might be let down. Big time attention grabber though. ELYSIUM, so easy to wear, so easy to like. If you're just getting into niche, check it out. So there we go, 10 of the best niche fragrances for beginners, in my opinion. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.